This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 490. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and I am joined by my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert. Adam, it is Friday. We still beat the stupid Rams more than a week ago, and to this point, I think I'm still not ready to move past and not talk about the Rams game because, man, oh man, that was such a fun game.
Really, that's going to be a game that we're going to talk about it today, no doubt about it. But we'll probably talk about it a bit in the offseason as well, and probably the third matchup that we seem destined to have with the Rams coming up here. But on this Friday, post-Christmas, as we record this, Brandon, happy Christmas to you.
Hey, happy Christmas to you, buddy. Happy Christmas to everybody listening, and looking forward to a Merry New Year next time we sit down and do this. So hopefully,
or an average New Year. I'd settle for that. Like, it doesn't have to be merry. I'd take just a nice, steady average New Year. That'd be great.
Might be a step up for some people.
Yeah, just not a bad New Year. Like, let's just not make it like a 2020 year, and we're good.
Yeah, that's a good to not set your bar real high, just kind of mediocre high.
Managing expectations, baby. It keeps me a lot happier throughout the world, no doubt about it.
Well, our Seattle Seahawks exceeded expectations with that win over the stupid Los Angeles Rams. And, we were expecting a win just because we were due for it. But, gosh, there was a time where I think every single one of us as a 12 out there was looking at this game as over. And it wasn't.
For real. And I guess I will start with, I didn't expect a win in that game. I was hoping for a win. I thought there was a path for them to win that was fairly easy to see. It's not like you're conjuring up something crazy like how the Panthers could take down the Seahawks this upcoming week. But in terms of for the Rams game, I thought, yeah, there's an absolute path here. This is what's going to have to happen. And, the funny part about it all, Brandon, is that it all kind of buffed out the way that it should after you watch the first Rams-Seahawks matchup, where you're going, if Sam just throws 2 picks, we probably win that game. And you talk yourself into, if he would have just thrown 2 picks in that game and we won, I would have felt great about it, and I'd have felt great about Sam, and it wouldn't have bothered me at all. And the hilarious part is that we get to this, and he's throwing 2 picks, makes a big comeback, and really does exercise a bit of those demons. And I'm still like, I wish he wouldn't have thrown those 2 picks. And so I lied to myself back then, and it's still tough to kind of get over. But also, I'm so stoked for him for getting over the hump too.
Turnovers is just where we are with this team. And you look back through the whole season. In fact, okay, I was looking at, somebody posted the results of all of the playoff teams currently and their record against other playoff teams. And I thought it was really interesting because, well, one, of all the teams that are in the playoffs right now, which team in the NFL has the most wins against other teams that are in the playoff picture right now?
Oh, it's probably something crazy that you don't even think about.
And I'll give you the number of wins. It's 5 wins.
5 wins? Shoot. Is it the Panthers? They got to be up there. Yeah.
It's not the Panthers. They're only 2-4, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 5-3 against other playoff teams right now. And it makes sense then when you go and you look at some of the power rankings that are coming out after this game, and a lot of them you see, if you don't still see the Rams at number 1 in some of them, which I can kind of understand, just the way that the Rams are a really good team. And like you said, it does seem like destiny that these two teams are going to face each other again in the playoffs at some point. Yeah. But if you don't see the Rams at number 1, it's probably the Seahawks at number 1. And usually the ones that I've seen where it's the Seahawks at number 1, it's the Jaguars at number 2.
That's interesting. And I do think it points to the entire season for all the teams in the NFL. It's so wide open, and there's been so many wild swings in. I don't think that there's any dominant team. So a team like the Jaguars, they can thrive in those sort of situations because they have an opportunity to get to that win, almost Pete Carroll style, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that when we do get to to Panthers where, hey, man, we've got a bunch of professionals. They've got a bunch of professionals. It's going to be close. Come down to the end. Who makes the fewest amount of mistakes? And then you go out and win the football game. And they've been doing that down there in Duval. And that's cool. I'm excited for Trevor, too. He deserves it. I think it might also point to the fact that I don't know that I believe in the AFC playoff teams.
Well, gosh, when you look at there's a lot of looking at these records, there's just not a lot of teams that have winning records, for one, against opposing playoff teams. In the NFC, there's only two. The Bears and Seahawks are the only two teams that have winning records against other teams in the playoff picture right now. Seahawks 4-2, Bears 3-1. The Rams are 4-4. All four of their losses have come against other playoff teams. You go over to the AFC, and it is a little bit different. The Bills are 3-2, Broncos are 3-2, Chargers are 3-1, and then Pats are 2-2, Texans 3-4. So, you kind of get an idea for how these teams have been performing against the NFL's best teams this year.
Right. And that's something we talk a lot about. And I think a lot of the national media does about strength of schedule and all that. And I think this is the time of year that you can talk about that. And you go back and you look at some of those things and you actually can be like, hey, those were tough games. These were easier games. Hey, their quarterback was out when they faced them. And a lot of the randomness that does occur to the league kind of bubbles up, and you can kind of adjust for that in your thought process when you look at these teams. Like the Patriots are a great example.
Sure.
It's like, well, who have they beaten? And you're like, well, the Bills. They beat the Bills in Buffalo, right? They also lost to the Bills at home and haven't really beat anybody else. I feel like the Bears are a little bit in that camp where I know they just beat the Packers, but Jordan Love goes out, Malik Willis comes in. He plays well. I don't know that was the number one reason they lost that football game, but every one of these teams has massive question marks when you go back and look at how they performed against top teams, because I don't know how many there are in the league this year, and just how many cupcakes they've beat up on as well, because I think there's a lot of those in the league this year.
It's funny because I didn't even, at the time, I don't think I considered the Jaguars or the Texans one of the top teams. But like You're saying, with strength of schedule, now you look back and you go, oh, because those are now playoff teams, those were likely more difficult games. Just going into it just didn't seem that way, partly because of the division.
1,000%. And yeah, I kind of feel like both South divisions skew some of this as well and make it tough to see who's actually good and who's actually not. Because, I mean, Jaguars, Texans, right? Beating up on a terrible division that they're in. Well, congratulations. Like, that's really nice for you. Somebody's got to win it, I guess. And the NFC South kind of feels like the same, where you're looking, you're like, Bucks, really? Like, you couldn't pull this off in this division? Okay. Like, if you say so. And they kind of pile up wins against crummy teams in crummy divisions.
Especially after we lost to the Bucks. And now they go and they lose to the Panthers in, it was a game that I watched only because that we're taking on the Panthers this upcoming week. And I don't know, maybe that just made it more annoying that seeing a team that beat us, that's a reason why, we only have, 2 losses in the playoff team column, because currently the Tampa Bay Bucks aren't a playoff team.
Right. Somehow. And I think that's a good case study too, Brandon, when you're looking at this of teams that have played other good teams, and then where is your team right now? Is it coming together? Is it falling apart? Like, what does it look like? Well, you have Todd Bowles go out and give the most dispassionate cuss rant that's ever happened in the history of head coaches. Oh man, just F that and this shit. Catfish! It's gotta hurt. It was unbelievable, but you're
it's
watching
weird that didn't work, huh?
Yeah, you're watching this team like spiral out of control and grow further apart as they've been ravaged by injuries, and there's a lot of things going down there in Tampa. But you see the Seahawks, and you're watching them grow together and to become stronger as a group and really play complementary football, which is what they did in this Rams game. I mean, defense picks up offense when it needs it. The offense picked up the defense when it needed it. And then they all came together with a big special teams play towards the end. And you see the camaraderie, you see the energy and the juice that's coming from this locker room when you listen to these guys talk. And their teams in two different universes right now. It's crazy.
Is Rashid Shaheed a top 5 in-season trade in franchise history at this point?
Oh my gosh, it's got to be, right? I can't even think of what the other in-season trade.
Marshawn would be one.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. So he's number one. Yeah.
I would. That's at least the first one that comes to mind. And Dwayne Brown is another one that comes to mind.
Boy, I forgot both of those were in season. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So there's been some bangers in there.
Yeah.
More than Dwayne Brown. I'd say at this point, Shaheed.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, when you spark the play that helps defeat the Rams in your division, it puts it right up there for me.
It really does. And it was so satisfying to see that game, the momentum and everything flip on its head the second that Shaheed touched the ball, because I'm in the Discord being like, yeah, I don't know about, like, this isn't going to work.
Milrow tape time.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm gonna be watching me some Milrow against Georgia highlights and things like that to try to get fired up for next year. And other people kind of feeling the same way as they're down as much as they are. And I've seen all sorts of numbers about the win percentage, but like ESPN I think had it at 1.5%, and like another at like 3 or whatever it is, and then Shaheed goes out there and flips the entire thing on its head with that electric return. And the hilarious part is listening to Ram fan. I almost said it plural as if there's more than one.
Mistake.
And yeah, slip, I just expect that for NFL teams. But at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, it's been special teams almost every time that's killed us.
And that was apparently something that they saw on film. They picked up Darion Kendrick from the Seahawks, who I guess was notorious on our team for not giving max effort on special teams plays. And I felt real bad that he was going back to the Rams, because I felt like we saved him from there and had a couple nice games for us, filling in at injury, especially playing, when he was in the starting lineup at corner, it felt like he was giving a lot of effort. And then
playing good ball.
And it was a bit of a surprise when he was ultimately cut. And I guess he was one of those guys on the field that they saw and had that ability to potentially target on the punt return. So thanks. It makes me feel a lot better about Cooper Kupp being a double agent and fumbling it back to the team. That he could be the double agent for us on the Rams team.
There you go. That might be 4D chess from Jay Harbaugh here, right? Okay, we're going to release Kendrick. I know the Rams are going to pick him up because they're familiar with him, and he played good ball on defense, but he's a disaster on special teams, guys, and that's where he's going to play. Like, watch the Rams do this. And then target him in the next matchup.
When you need it the most.
Jay Harbaugh's a genius. Let's say he did all that on purpose. Let's give him credit for something that probably didn't happen. I like it.
Well, I'm all for giving him some credit, because that dude, he deserves it. So we've had a lot of good special plays, and we'll give him one more week. He needs to. We just need to see one more really solid play from special teams.
That's right. Shout out Amy Holmes. Yeah.
Maybe he could get our punter working again, because I feel like the punt game for us just is not where it used to be at one point in time.
Yeah, it's been a little up and down for Dixon here. There's a few things that can be done here. I think the number one thing is convert third downs and just keep Mike off the field, and then we don't have to worry about it. I'd love that, and be a little more consistent offensively. And that's somewhere that you see it in streaks. So you're like, I know it's there. I know it's in their DNA. I know they have the ability. But then we watch the offense in this game for like an entire half again, not look good, and just really struggle and get super frustrated, and then be able to turn it on when they really needed it. And can we just be a little more sustainable here? Convert third downs. Let's keep Dixon off the field if he's not putting it quite as good as we would like and go from there? Can we do that, please?
I think you just get into 3rd and long situations and you give the ball to Ken Walker, and he just converts 3rd downs, and that's what happens.
Could that game and the next, let's say, I mean, this is optimistic, but 5 games of Ken Walker this season, could that change his future with the Seahawks? Could he end up needing to get signed again by John Schneider? Can he earn himself another contract here? Or as Seahawks fans, as GM and John Schneider, have you looked at Ken Walker and be like, man, there's days where he's Ken Walker and it's awesome. And then there's also the many days where this hurts and that hurts and he can't go or he's less effective. I'm curious to your take if either that game or if you feel like he's got some runway here to be re-signed in the offseason.
Well, the good news is that whatever strategy that they use to maintain his health and have him be healthy here at the end of the season, it's worked. I'd hate to jinx that, but if you can get into the playoffs and then he can be the 20-25 touch guy, whether it's run or pass, and you have that explosive canine that we love so much, and we get that in the playoffs, that could be like a real game changer for the Seahawks in the playoffs if they decide to actually use it. I'm not convinced that there's any kind of strategy at all, and it's just wanting to balance touches between 2 running backs that they both like.
I agree with you. To be honest, that's how it feels when I'm watching the games. It's not because it feels like game flow is thrown out the window when you're watching this offense in terms of, is it a Charbonnet drive? It's a Ken Walker drive. Because I want to say in the second half, Ken had the big run? Gosh, it's over a week, dude.
I know.
That this happened. Was it early in the third he had the big run on the right side?
That would have been the touchdown run. Yeah, I think he had one per half. He had the one catch that got him down to the goal line for the first touchdown. Yeah, because they only scored 1 touchdown in the first half.
Right. So he has the big run. I believe that was in the third quarter. They put him up 14-13. And that was awesome. And then the next drive you come out and it's Charbonnet right out of the gate. And you're sitting here going, what are we doing? Like, it's clear who the hot hand is here. And it does feel like, to your point, it's more about balancing the numbers on the spreadsheet and getting like, make sure those numbers are just right, than, hey, we're going to preserve K9 for the future or anything like that. That was a game, you don't preserve anything for the future. Like, if you can go and you can get it done and you're the best player, you play, because number 1 seed, first round bye, all that stuff is on the line. Division rival, let's go. So
to that point,
I don't know.
K9 had he took 3 handoffs in the entire second half.
How does that make sense?
And one was a 55-yard score on the opening drive coming out of the half.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's give it to Sharps from there on out.
And this Rams team, they can't defend him.
Yeah. He's got the rhythm against them this week, and he's seeing it and all that. Give it to Sharps. I just don't get it. And I feel the same way when there's games where it's clear that Sharps' style and his timing is syncing up with the offense and is playing against the defense's strengths a little better than Ken's, because they're different runners. And in those games, I'm still like, okay, why are we taking Sharps out here? He's been slashing these guys, you know?
Well, thank goodness we had Zach Charbonnet in there for the 2-point conversion, because Adam, has the Zachwards pass now eclipsed the Fail Mary as the worst officiating call in NFL history?
That's pretty good. No, because I think the worst officiating call I've seen in NFL history was in the playoffs, Rams Saints, when the Saints receiver was obliterated like 10
way
yards
before the ball even got there, and zero call.
And Rams get the no call and then end up going to the Super Bowl. So like, no, definitely not. It took the better part of a decade for Green Bay fans to quit being crybaby shit ass about the Hail Mary that Golden Tate caught, because that is a catch. I will argue that for the rest
Aaron
of my
Rodgers
life.
Still hasn't forgotten about it. He referenced it in an interview here recently.
he doesn't forget anything. That guy, he's keeping receipts on everybody. He's capped. He might as well be V for Vendetta because that's all he is. He's just a walking vendetta. But, man, Rams fan just sitting here, oh, my gosh, the two-point conversion. Look, man, if you want to be upset about the fact that it took a full minute and a half for them to get to the review and all that, I get it. That's a legitimate gripe. That was weird. Is it the right call at the end of the day? Yes, because all of them sit there like, oh, I don't know if it's a backward pass. Well, what I definitely know it wasn't a forward pass. It was at least a lateral, if not a backwards pass. Like there's no, like I heard Rich Eisen, the angle's not right down the line. It's not right down the line. Okay, fine. Well, you've got the overhead view. The camera doesn't move. The field doesn't move. So when you're watching,
have the lines on the field.
That's right. So is it going to tell you like exactly where the ball is in relation to field position on the field? It could be skewed to the left or the right, correct? Because of the angle. But what it will tell you when you're looking overhead, when the camera doesn't move and the field doesn't move, is that in relation to where the players are on the field with Sam, throwing it back to Sam, it goes backwards in relation to the lines on the field. It doesn't matter if it's off visually a half yard in terms of where the ball physically is. Is this making sense? Like the idea being is that the way the camera is, you look at how the ball moves in relation to the players because the camera doesn't move. And it doesn't matter that the angle isn't exactly dead nuts over top them when it's pretty close. Like there's not that much of a difference. There's no way that was a forward pass. There's no way that was a forward pass.
No, it is very clear because Sam, when you look at where his arm was, he was standing, I think, on one of the hashes as he was throwing the football. So you very clearly saw where he was in relation to then where Kobe Turner, where it goes off of his helmet and where his position is on the field. Like you could tell it was behind. So that even doesn't seem to be the gripe that I hear from most Rams fans. One I've heard is that, well, you can't advance a fumble. You can't advance a fumble. And those fans are dumb because it wasn't a fumble. It was a backwards pass. So
that's right.
they're two completely different things, and the rules treat each one of those things differently. The other one that I hear is that the whistle blew, and so that the play should be dead. And I think one of the things that triggered this was something that Al Michaels was saying on the broadcast. He's like, oh, well, there was no whistle, and so that's why Zach Charbonnet was picked it up and why it actually counted. But the thing is that there was actually a whistle. And so that got Rams fans all riled up that, there was a whistle, so the play should have been over. And to that, there's also rules.
And it reads something along the lines of, and it's not the word inadvertent when it comes to the whistle, because I've heard Ram fan talk about that.
It wasn't an inadvertent whistle.
No, it was an erroneous whistle. Like they whistled it dead when the play shouldn't have been dead. It was an error. That's what the exact meaning of erroneous is. And the rule reads like, it doesn't matter if there's an erroneous whistle. The play continues.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Well, Zach was just too casual when he picked it up. Well, sorry he looked chill and cool while he did it. Like a tough break. Like we're taking 2 points on and off the board for style points? Like what are we talking about here?
Okay, so that takes me to the one place where I think someone could have a gripe, because the way the rule is written, it says when the on-field ruling results in a dead ball, and it's determined that possession was lost before the ball should have been ruled dead, possession's awarded to a player who clearly recovers a loose ball in the immediate continuing action. And so the only place where I feel like there's wiggle room in this is if you don't feel like Zach recovered it in the immediate continuous action part of the game. And so if the whistle blew, it obviously the refs in this case ruled it to be immediate continuing action because the ball was still on the ground. He walked over, he picked it up. It wasn't like everybody stopped moving and then he just went to pick it up because maybe some would argue that he just went to pick it up to be polite. I would argue it was likely a coaching point where guys are coached to always pick up loose balls that are on the ground.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. I do feel like he just picked it up to be polite. I really do. And I don't think that he was thinking he's going to be able to score 2 points there by picking up the ball. In fact, nobody on the field was thinking that. No coach was thinking that. The only people that were thinking that were the people in the booth
thinking it.
who looked at the replay and was like, wait a second, this is not the right call. And so at the end of the day, I love that Ram fan is whining about calls, because out of all the fan bases in the world that don't get to whine about calls, the Rams are number 2. Chiefs are number 1. We all agree on that. And Rams are number 2 because football always had to work in LA. It always did. And you guys have been the beneficiaries of so many calls throughout the years, like Colby Parkinson the week before. And now you're crying about points. That was a 7-point swing. Like,
that should have been an incomplete pass. I'm convinced that Colby Parkinson play.
I think he should have been down at the 1, but either way, like, if you wanted to argue incomplete, I'm with you. But
the what it shouldn't have been was a touchdown. I know that, because if he had control of it and his knee was down at being touched, then he's at the 1. If he loses control of it, then it's an incomplete pass. But the way they ruled it is if he lost control and regained control from the 1 to crossing the goal line, and if he lost control of it, the ball had touched the ground at that point. So that's what leans me toward incomplete.
Okay. I go with you on that. But the hilarious part is they get those calls all the time, and here they are crying about the wrong call in the game on top of all of it. That's the thing. This is how stupid Ram fan is, Brandon. They're mad that the officials went back and got the call legitimately correct. Like, you can't argue that at the end of the day, according to the rules, that is 2 points. Is it stupid? Yes. Do I feel fortunate as a Seahawks fan? Yes. Is it crazy the way it went down? Yes, but they got it right. What you should be pissed about, Ram fan, that they barely talk about this, is the illegal man down field call that took 7 points off the board. They have to settle for a field goal. That's a 4-point swing there. Like, that's a call that literally lives in that gray area where you're like, yeah, I think he's kind of coming free from the blocker, kind of spinning off and going upfield. But also, too, if you wanted to argue who was engaged, I get it. And is it an unusual call? Is it a tough call? Yes. Like, that's one that I could look at Ram fan and be like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you want to complain about that one, I get it. But they don't even complain about that. They complain about the one that the refs actually got correct. And they're like, oh, I went against it. I can't believe it. Just a bunch of crybaby shit asses.
Yeah, I agree that that's one that has more wiggle room for complaint. Because, gosh, it's real bang as to by the time that he's 3 yards into the end zone and looking back to Matt Stafford as Matt's throwing the ball. And so he does look as though like he's not engaged in a block at that point. Yeah. But, the ball is also, if you freeze frame it real close, the ball's already in the air at that point. So whether or not, he should have continued to be engaged, and because the rule is, and for people who don't know, you can be 3 yards downfield as an offensive lineman as long as you are engaged in a block, and because he comes real hard off the line as if it's a run play, and I think it was Byron Murphy. It was either Byron Murphy or Leo that he was, and the interior D lineman kind of swims over him, around him. Yeah. And his momentum carries him forward. The momentum part, that's the arguable part, but that's not in the rule book as far as momentum taking you downfield. But that's where officials have some wiggle room, right? That, okay, he was engaged. There was some momentum there. We are not going to throw the flag. They decided to throw the flag at this point.
Right. And at the end of the day, when I go back and I rewatch that play, if you just watch it live in real time, I can totally see why the official threw the flag. If you go back and you watch the replay slow down in slow-mo, I have some empathy for Ram fan on that call where I'm like, I can see why Sean McVay like literally had the top of his head melt. Like, they just being so angry. So I get that one both ways, I guess is the best way that I could put it. But also, you're on the road, Ram fan. Like, the calls are not supposed to go your way.
Oh, there were calls that went against us too.
And I'm not, that's the thing. As Seahawks fans, guess what we don't do? Just sit and bitch about calls constantly and complain about that. Because I think the number one narrative to take away from this game, Brandon, for me, is we watched these two teams suited up the first time down in LA. And we all walked away thinking, I think the Seahawks are the better team, and they outplayed them for the majority of the game and had just a meltdown from the quarterback and still almost won it on a last-second field goal. Okay, like, that's an interesting takeaway. And then you watch this last iteration of these two teams play each other, and you go, I think the Rams kind of outplayed the Seahawks for a lot of the game, and then they turned it on in the end, and they were able to win it last minute. And so it's gone both ways, where to me that means they're dead nuts equal, right? In each other's houses, they outplayed their opponent, but yet still lost. It's the same exact narrative both ways. And I just think it's fascinating when these are the two best teams in the NFC, and they do look to have different strengths and weaknesses, but are dead nuts equal when it's all said and done.
The Rams clearly the better offense. They've shown that, I think, through both games, because turnovers are a part of the offense. And defense, I think the Seahawks defense, even despite giving up what they gave up, I think we've seen them be the better defense in both games. And then special teams tipped it in this one. They missed a field goal. They gave up a punt return. And that, I think it's those combined things is where I lean towards special teams tipping it in our favor in this one.
Well, Sean McVay clearly agrees with you because they fired their special teams coach shortly after the game. And that's hilarious. Just for Rams, but for the special teams coach, that's a bummer, man. Sorry you lost your job. But
right before Christmas, too. That's, you don't want to work for a garbage organization that does you that way.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, just wait till after the holidays, you know? You just demote him or something and then don't fire him until, like, after the first of the year. Like, what are you doing?
Or you do like we do and you say that you released a guy, like, for how did we get rid of our running backs coach again? That he was just taking a leave of absence? Maybe the special teams coach just needed to take a leave of absence.
Maybe, yeah. Just needed to check out for a little while, you know? Had family, wanted to concentrate on his family.
I hate that you moved on from the officiating, because I still wanted to complain about the unnecessary roughness call on Ty Okada and the Ernest Jones interception in overtime that could have gone either way.
Oh, the Ernest Jones call is absolutely the correct call. That's not an interception in any way, shape, or form.
If the Colby Parkinson touchdown went the way it did, I think that we could have, if the refs really wanted to screw the Rams, they could have given EJ that call.
That's true. That's true. If they were out for blood, no doubt about it. But I do think they got that one correct. The unnecessary on Okada. I was trying to, again, it's been a little over a week. That's crazy. That was a pretty clean hit. I don't really understand. And the receiver wasn't defenseless. Like, he had the ball for a good second and had made a football move.
Yeah. No, they didn't call defenseless. And I think, again, that was where the broadcast booth got it wrong, because they started saying defenseless, and the ruling on the field was just unnecessary roughness. Like, it just looked like a really hard hit because it was.
Yeah. Look, when Seattle safeties drill an opposing receiver downfield and take their birthday away by doing it, they always get flagged for something like that. I mean, Bam Bam will tell you all about it when he stole Vernon Davis's soul, and Ty Okada got a taste of it when he smashed the receiver there. I can't even remember who caught that ball, but he remembers.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
The other thing I wanted to ask you before we move on to the Panthers, should the Rams have gone for 2 in overtime?
Sure, or not. I've heard this second guessing over and over and over again. I've heard Ram fans sit and whine about McVay getting conservative in the fourth quarter and all of that. It's like, did he though?
They stopped running the football.
Yeah, and Stafford was missing throws when we heated him up. And if you want to complain about anything, it was that Stafford didn't come through in the clutch in the fourth there. And then, he should have gone for 2 in overtime. And it's like, yeah, maybe. Or you'd be happy just kicking the extra point and calling it a day, and knowing that you're up 7 and your defense is going to stop them on the next possession and you win the football game. Like, I don't know, because if you miss going for 2, now the Seahawks just have to go down and score and then just kick a regular extra point to win the football game. Like, if you kick the extra point, if you're Sean McVay, now you're forcing the Seahawks to do something that's never been done before, which is win a game in overtime on a 2-point conversion. I like them odds.
And convert 3 2-point conversions in a game.
Right. But specifically Ram fan complaining about them not going for two in overtime.
I think that nobody's ever done 3 2-point conversions in a game either. So that's also something
true.
that's never been done.
That's true. Yeah. And we converted 2, and the refs figured out how to convert a third one for us. And again, the correct call. I'm not going to say we weren't fortunate, though. For sure. Oh,
well, I think even in Coach Mike's interview on Seattle Sports Radio, how he goes in on the day after the game, because they kind of set it up for him too, saying who gets the gold star on the 2-point conversion play. And Coach Mike said, "Oh, New York."
Yeah, that's right.
Not Zach Charbonnet, not one of the other guys on the field. No, he singled out New York.
Yep, for real. And I mean, it makes sense. And they even asked him to. This is what I love about Coach Mike. He doesn't pretend. But this is easily my favorite thing about Coach Mike. He doesn't pretend to know things that he doesn't know.
Yes,
and I love that because in my sawmill profession, running around the country, I ran into so many guys that wanted to feel so self-important that they would blather on about something they have no freaking clue about and sound like a moron like I do every week on this podcast. And it drives me crazy. And Mike, they'll ask him something like, well, when did you know about the 2-point conversion, all that? And he's like, I didn't know till they started doing the replay and they looked at it. And I love that about Mike, just being like, I'm so comfortable with myself that I don't know every rule. I don't see every situation, as a savant that everybody thinks. Like, I'm a human being. I miss things. And I love that about Mike.
Yeah. Oh, that's it is one of my favorite qualities, especially for a person who gets into that position, because it can easily go that way of, oh yeah, I'm this, like Sean McVay. Just taking it on like he's the genius of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And then to get up on the podium and first thing he does is cry about the officiating. First thing. He gave his shortest post-game interview to like the Rams crew after. Most of the Rams talking faces were talking about this, and they were just like, that's how you know Sean was so mad. He usually gives you like 2-3 minutes, and he gave us 30 seconds, and all he talked about was the 2-point, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what he did, because once again, Sean McVay is a cry baby catfish shit ass. And it was so fun to watch him have to sit and squirm after that game.
From one coach that I can't stand to another coach that I'm actually rooting for when he's not playing for our team. Listening to Dave Canales, we don't really have a whole lot of Pete Carroll coaching tree guys in the NFL.
Dave more Canales, than you think, but I hear what you're saying.
Dave Canales is legit Pete Carroll tree type coach. And all of the things, a lot of that you hear him say to his team is, you hear him, and even in his press conference this week, leading up to the game, he's referencing Pete, and just the things that you hear him say, it's like, okay, that part of Pete is, well, Pete's still in the NFL, but that part is living on through Coach Canales, and it's kind of cool.
It is cool. And you talk about Pete's coaching tree. There's 3 head coaches that are in the league right now, directly from Pete Carroll's coaching tree, with Dan Quinn, Dave Canales, and Shoddy.
Yeah,
down in Dallas.
And Shoddy, you do hear some of that stuff too, for sure.
Oh, yeah, he did the whole, they had a big win like 5-6 weeks ago, and he did the whole can you win it in the first quarter thing with the team in the locker room after the game. It was great.
Dan Quinn, I don't hear as much Pete in, and I think maybe because, I don't know. For one, he wasn't even hired by Pete. He was hired, he was on the coaching staff when Pete was hired on, and Pete just decided to keep him. But Shoddy, he has his lineage of, being his dad's son. So Canales, though, I feel like is legit.
They're all legit Pete guys. Don't try to take this away from Pete.
Yes. Okay.
I don't like where you're going here. Boo.
It feels the most like Pete of any of the 3.
I would agree with that. Okay. I would agree with that part. In the unbridled optimism, in everything in the energy and all of that Pete brings. That's a Canales thing, and he uses it. And hats off to Canales and the Panthers. Look, and before we get in here and make fun of him a fair amount, because this is a Seahawks podcast, that's what we do. At the end of the day, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that they've been able to scratch and claw and get to the point to where they are, especially with their roster defensively. It's mind-blowing. Give Canales and Evero a ton of credit. They've done an excellent job there. They really have. And I'm impressed.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of big, good pieces. They have one legit Pro Bowler and one Pro Bowler who, they like to say that he was snubbed, but he wasn't snubbed because he's not as good as the other defensive tackles in the league. But they have two guys on defense, and that's about it. I mean, they have some nice young pieces, but it's nothing. It's not like the Seahawks defense.
No, not at all. But with that said, here's some things that give me a little bit of pause going into this game that I didn't have before. And really that thing has one name, and it's Mike Jackson. And I don't know if you saw, Brandon.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see Mike Jackson's interview by his locker when they asked him about playing the Seahawks?
No.
Okay, first off, I don't know where they did this interview. I don't know if they drug him into an alley to do this interview or whatever, but it's so poorly lit, it's super dim, and he's got his hood on from his hoodie. So
they might not have working lighting in the locker room in Carolina. That might just be
fair point.
They might be working by candlelight because Tepper can't afford to keep the power on for all the lights in that stadium.
Absolutely. So it's fairly poorly lit. Mike's got his hood over his head. And I've always felt like Mike Jackson looks like one of the toughest dudes in the league. He just has that look of just being a tough guy that you would never want to mess with. We always do the thing, who would you not want to meet in a dark alley? Mike Jackson would be on the list somewhere. No thank you. I don't want to tangle with that dude. He would end my entire life, right? Easily with one pinky. And they're asking him about it, and he is surly, and he's not having it. And it was kind of oh God, Mike Jackson might come for his complete revenge game just in this one game. It made me pause for a second, no doubt.
I just want to go on record now that you've mentioned that the one legit Pro Bowler that I was referencing is Mike Jackson and not J.C. Horn.
Okay, perfect. Because I figured it must be J.C. Horn, but
J.C. Horn was named to the Pro Bowl team. Derek Brown was the defensive tackle who was Panthers reporters are considering to be snubbed. But, Derek Brown generates a lot of pressure up the middle, at least a lot for a Carolina Panthers team that doesn't generate a lot of pressure, because that's one of the things that, again, I'm fascinated that this defense has done as well as it has with not being able to pressure a quarterback, with linebackers that aren't that great, with a secondary that you have great players at the corner spots, but at the safety spots, dudes who have not worked out at previous teams, just are okay. And to have that, to not have the spine of the defense, we've seen what that's looked like for Seattle when you haven't had that spine of the defense to hold up, and that they've managed to have a winning record. And maybe part of it is the division that they come from.
For sure. And they have to still play the guys that are in front of them, and they've piled enough games here to actually be in the playoff hunt, obviously, with leading the division, in all the credit in the world. But then you really start to break this down and look at this matchup, and outside of Mike Jackson being motivated, let's put it that way, seemingly, is this the Dame Lou revenge game to you too? Are you really, when you look at this roster, is there any point their run game, their pass game, their run defense, pass defense, special teams, screen game, whatever it is, do you look at any of it and go, hey, they've got an advantage there? Because I don't.
Their offensive line is a legit offensive line. And so I feel like that's where they have their advantage, because I've seen Bryce Young, when he has time with the offensive line, be able to I feel like
15 yards and in. Yeah.
Even I've seen him hit some 20-yard shots downfield this year, and to where I was like, oh, I didn't think he could make that throw.
Yeah.
And but those are very few and far between, because he doesn't necessarily have that consistently. And you can see that through the games that they've played this year, that the consistency at the quarterback spot has been tough, but they've been able to make up for it with the run game and Rico Dowdle being over 1,000 yards. It's weird because even fans, like Chuba Hubbard's pretty good. And when he was coming into the game, like you heard fans chanting Rico, like because they saw that Chuba was out on the field and they're chanting for their other dude to come out. Like they're telling Canales, like, hey, we know who the better back is, and it's not Chuba.
And how random and surprised. This is the NFL in a nutshell. Rico Dowdle coming from the Dallas Cowboys where he did nothing, where their run game was an absolute joke, and gets to Carolina and has a monster season. So hats off to Rico Dowdle here. At the end of the day, I've watched this Seattle defense go and shut down Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor and the terrifying two-headed monster of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. Like, they handled them too. I'm not at all afraid of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. I'm just not. Even with a very good offensive line. Like, it's an above-average line. But I don't know that it's leaps and bounds ahead of our line either when it's all said and done.
I put them I put them top 10 for sure. Ours is probably top half. They
13, 14.
Top 5. I don't know.
Okay. I just don't know that it's, again, and this is the league this year too. I don't know any specific leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else for the most part. I don't know. Just not an offense that worries me. You talked about Bryce Young and his ability as a NFL quarterback. He's not a starting NFL quarterback. He's not. He never will be. That is not the caliber of talent that he is. He's too small. He's too slow. He's got a pop gun arm, and he's a good processor. I'll give him that for the most part. Yeah. He just doesn't have the physical traits to make it happen. And that was exactly what it looked like when he came out of college. It's exactly what it's looked like his entire career, whether he's played badly or he's played almost good enough to justify a pick in the draft, not the number 1 pick in the draft as which he was taken. It's just, he's a puddle of meh at the quarterback position. He really is. And you say you've seen him hit a couple deep shots down the field. And look, anybody who's in the league can hit a 20-yard pass, right? Like, they can all do it. Now, do you have to have your back foot hit on time, in rhythm, gather your entire body, and have it all come together like that one drive that you yoke on 7 that you almost get to the green and 1, that it just all comes together and it's perfect? Yeah, he can do that every now and then. But can he drop back and flick it 20 yards down the field? Absolutely not. And that's the difference. That's the difference between a guy who's a career backup and should be a career backup, because he belongs as a backup. I think he'd be a great backup. But in terms of being an NFL starting quarterback, he ain't it. He ain't it.
So wait, what course are you on where you get to the green and almost 1 on number 7? Because 7's a par 5 to me.
Okay, so 7 is, let's see.
You rattled that off as if you were very confident on which course you were playing.
I'm going to tell you right now. I thought it was 7 on the camera 9 at Buffalo Hill. It is 8. It's 8.
Okay.
It's that short par 4. Yeah. On the backside of the driving range. Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Nope, I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, I have gotten to 7 and 2 before, but that is a long par 5 on that particular hole. I can't think of the championship side. And 7.
I don't know why I just had to derail the entire show just for a point about a golf course that most people probably overlooked. But you know what? This is my show.
Yeah, it is your show, and you can question golf acumen / holes whenever you'd like. You're welcome to. Just like I'm able to crap all over a guy that I don't think can play NFL quarterback at a starting level on the regular.
I just don't like you saying this ahead of this matchup, because I've seen enough Bryce Young and behind this offensive line this year to where it makes me pucker a little bit. And a part of it is having Ted McMillan and having that ability to have some big games. I think he's got some really good hands too, but he's also a rookie and streaky. So it's
do you think Tech can put up a Puka day against this secondary?
Not a Puka day, because I think Puka's the only one that can put up a Puka day against the secondary. But we've also, gosh, we saw dude from the Bucks put up a huge day, almost a Puka day, when we played the Tampa game early on this season.
Buka Buka or whatever.
Buka.
Whatever Gronkowski calls him. Yeah, Buka. But at the end of the day, I don't fear Tet McMillan in this game at this stage of his career, especially with the guy dealing to him. And I don't fear this running game. I don't fear this defense. I don't fear this team. And there's levels to this league. And I know I just went on for the first half of the show saying there's not a lot of separation between the league, but there's definitely a separation between the NFC South and the rest of the NFC. And if you're the best of the NFC South, congrats to you, I guess. But you're the best of the worst division? Neat. And you lost to the Saints twice, and I'm supposed to take this team seriously? Come on.
Here's the other thing.
And we're good on the road. I don't know if I mentioned that.
We are good at the road. Do you know the one thing, though, that we haven't been good at this year?
I don't know.
Holding on to the freaking football, Adam.
Yeah, true fact.
And one thing that the looking back on the things that the Carolina Panthers have done, one of the things that they did against the Rams was they took the football away. And because they took one away inside the red zone that could have been a touchdown that put the Rams further ahead. There was another score that set them up for another touchdown, or another turnover that set them up for a touchdown that kept them in that game against the Rams, put them ahead, I think. Some of the other games too against NFC South or NFC West teams, even they've had some good turnover luck. Just even against some good teams in general. So I go back to this list of the records, the playoff records that I brought up earlier, and I said how the Seahawks are 4-2 against playoff teams. They've had 15 turnovers in those 6 games against playoff caliber teams. They've had to overcome almost 2.5 turnovers per game, and they've done it to get to 4-2, which I feel like we should just count on them overcoming those 2.5 turnovers per game. As weird as it sounds, but they've done it.
They have. And as we look at this game, you're talking about the turnover differential and that sort of thing. Is this not such a Peteism that Canales is going with here? It's all about the ball. And they're taking care of the ball, turning people over, right? And I say I don't fear this Panthers team. I do respect it. I do respect it in the sense of they do have enough talent and enough coaching acumen to drag you into the deep water, Pete Carroll style, late in the fourth quarter into a game that's uncomfortably close for no reason, and then pull it out with some crazy ass play towards the end. That's the Carolina Panthers, and that's what they can do to you. They can drag you into the deep water and drown you at the end of the game, and you're like, how in the world did that happen? Because they muck it up. I also have seen this team go against lesser competition all year, the Seahawks, and not care, not play down to their opponent. I'd say the closest we've seen to that would be the Colts game, where half the team played down to the Colts level to some degree. I think that's an aberration. I might even say
the Tampa game, too, because that game, it just felt off. And even Coach Mike after that game said, some of his calls, I don't know, the preparation seemed off for the Tampa game.
Yeah, I could see that. I'd say that's a valid argument there as another one you could throw in there. But it's not something to do on the regular. And, we talk about Dame Lou and Mike Jack and all that, former Seahawks over there. But there's a former Panther on our team that I imagine feels a certain kind of way about being brought in to be the savior for half a tick in the worst situation with a terrible head coach in Rule and the third worst owner in the league in Tepper, and just have an absolute awful time while you're there. Get benched for a forgotten about Baker Mayfield.
Is this a Sam Darnold revenge game, Adam?
I'm not saying it's a revenge game, but I think it's going to be the Sam Darnold I told you so game. Like, I think that. It's not a huge game. There's not a lot of pressure, but there's some motivation there where I think he wants to throw 3 touchdowns, have a clean stat sheet, and walk away just thumbing his nose and being like, nah. Like, yeah, have fun with Bryce Young. Congratulations on that one.
Well, I'm here for it. I would like to see the Sam Darnold revenge game. Maybe we can get fewer than 2 turnovers this week. That would be nice. I feel like that's a step in the right direction heading toward the playoffs.
I'll tell you right now. Just a quick tease to news and notes and Blue Friday bets that we'll do either tomorrow or on Sunday morning. We haven't quite decided yet. I will be betting the under on Sam Darnold turnovers in this game.
Yes. I want it. I don't know if I would bet it, but just because, again, normally we talk about turnovers and normally we don't talk about turnovers that much because it does feel like kind of fluky sometimes. But in a season like this where it's been so consistent, I feel like it's a factor that you almost have to discuss in every single game.
Absolutely. I think if you're looking at this team, in particular the quarterback play, and you don't say this is a turnover-prone team, you're lying to yourself. Like, they have turned the ball over a ton. And, Sam has turned the ball over a ton.
2 of those were Cooper Kupp, like, at least.
I hear you. Yeah. And, look, at the end of the day, I think going into the Rams game, I don't know where it all sits now, but it's got to still be pretty close. Sam was leading the league in total turnovers at the quarterback position. And that includes fumbles because a lot of people look at Sam's play and they just point at the interceptions.
Oh, sure.
And they're like, look, lower than so-and-so or whatever. Okay, fine. But look at total turnovers. Like, that's where it's at there. That shows you a little bit. It's something that's been a problem for him his entire career. It's just now he's gotten to the point that the high end is eclipsing that more Sundays than it doesn't.
Sure.
And that's been good for his deal. The next step for Sam Darnold is to be able to eliminate, I'd say specifically the fumbles out of his game. And now you're starting to see a better version.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up because that was one of the things he did a sit-down interview with Jason Garrett. And Jason Garrett brought up the old
bummer.
His old scouting report. And
yeah.
One of the top ones was throws too many interceptions. It's like, oh,
yeah,
it was that way in college too.
Yeah. It's who Sam Darnold is.
It was part of Brett Favre's game, and Brett Favre went on to be a Hall of Famer. So it's, you can't elevate above turnovers, but you have to be a guy like Brett Favre.
Once in a 4-generation player.
Who should have won way more championships if he could have kept under control.
But it's not who he is. And I know, and I hear that a lot too from some of the Sam stands where they're like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes has more interceptions or this person. Okay. But you understand that the high end isn't even close to Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or anything like that. Right. Right. Yeah. Like, you understand that that's a different class of thing. I never argued that Geno Smith was better than any of those people or more talented and tried to argue, well, he's got less interceptions than, Patrick Mahomes, because that's stupid. It's the same thing. Like, you bring up Brett Favre. Well, Brett Favre threw a bunch of picks and still won a championship. Yeah, he's Brett Catfish fucking Favre. Sam Darnold is not that guy, and he never will be, and that's okay. I'm not expecting you to be. Nick Foles has won the Super Bowl.
I'll have Sam Darnold's back in another way, too.
Okay.
He wouldn't be leading the league in turnovers if J.J. McCarthy could have stayed healthy all season.
Oh, that's shots fired. There's some strays there for poor J.J., who was completely failed by his organization and coach for the first 10, 11 games of this season. If you want to bang on J.J. about injuries to this point in his career, I'll have that. That's a major
I've heard that a little bit too. This latest injury, I don't even put on, it was a fluke injury where he hit his hand on the dude's helmet.
Yeah, well, CJ Prosise suffered from how many fluke injuries, right? Some dudes just get injured all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where things are heading for JJ. If you want to have that criticism, fine. I'll take that all day long when it comes to JJ McCarthy. But to complain about his play through 7-8 games of his career when 6 of them were coaching malpractice committed against him by the coach, okay, I guess you can. You're wrong, but you can. Like, I don't think there's enough information at all.
I was just getting into the straight numbers of how he would have more turnovers than Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I don't think that has to do with talent at this point.
All right. Well,
stupid play calling.
Just like this show. Doesn't have anything to do with talent. It's just maybe a lot of consistency and dudes that talk to each other.
That's exactly right. If you enjoy delightfully mediocre things like we are, go ahead and hit like. I wonder how many people have hit a mediocre subscribe in their life. Like, yeah, you're so. I'll subscribe. Go ahead and do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. That way, if it comes up in the autoplay feature, I can decide then whether or not that I really want to keep listening or not.
There we go. Absolutely. But I do know that I think a lot of people, even while subbed, not getting it in their algo. So
I don't know how that works, but something that maybe we can get to in the second half of the show, Adam.
Sounds good.
Getting into the second half of the show, Adam, and we have some Pro Bowl selections this week, which it's kind of fun. Like, we're not going to watch the Pro Bowl, but I think it's nice to see some guys get some individual accolades here as we get toward the end of the season. And I think that while we can agree that, whether you end up playing in the Pro Bowl, like, that part is kind of meaningless, but this goes on your record as when you're selected for the Pro Bowl, especially not as an alternate. That's where I think that there still is a little bit of meaning left in this award.
I was just going to do my standard, I don't give a crap about the Pro Bowl, but I do think that not an alternate selection makes a big difference. And that's something that I think should carry some cachet. I know it probably does in some dudes' contracts. I don't know if Pro Bowl selections gets anybody any bonuses here, or if John looks at it and is like, yeah, well, I don't know who's going to get Pro Bowls. It's basically an Oprah episode. Like, everybody gets a Pro Bowl. But nice to see some dudes get after it and get some recognition because, man, there's some absolute ballers on the roster this year.
You got 6 Pro Bowl selections by the Seahawks: Jackson Smith-Njigba, Devin Witherspoon, Leonard Williams, thank goodness, Rashid Shaheed, and then you got Sam Darnold and DeMarcus Lawrence. And, how cool is it that, gosh, there should have been, speaking of people who were snubbed legitimately, Byron Murphy, not one of these Pro Bowlers this year. Somehow Jalen Carter got in with the subpar year that he's having, maybe on name recognition. Leonard Williams probably gets in because he should have last year. And it's kind of a makeup vote this year. I think Byron Murphy was in the top 1 or 2 vote getters among the fans, which is kind of wild. And then for him to not make it is also kind of wild. But the one guy on here, nice to see, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, well, let's put a pin in Sam for half a tick and talk about Byron Murphy, because you were mentioning him just before that.
Right.
And look, with D linemen, it really does feel like it's about name recognition year over year. And you would think Leo would have had that name recognition last year, but clearly not, I guess, being out in Southeast Alaska. Jalen Carter definitely made it on name recognition. But the good news for Byron Murphy is that the fans clearly noticed, as you said, second in Pro Bowl voting and that sort of thing for his position. That's impressive. So he's put in the work this year so that even if he has a little bit of a down year next year, which I don't think is going to happen, he will be able to get in on name recognition next year, no matter what. So that's the thing, is you kind of have to bank it a year ahead of time on the D line or the offensive line, is my genuine belief. But the Sam Darnold part of this, the Pro Bowl, Sam in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that hits me, and then my first reaction is, really? Like, he's been good. Has he been Pro Bowl good? I don't know. But then you start thinking about the rest of the NFC and the quarterback play this year. It's kind of hard to argue against him.
Yeah. Well, Okay, if you're just looking at the NFC, there is good competition. Obviously, Matt Stafford. I think that he was most likely the number one starter.
Yes.
Dak Prescott's had a pretty good year.
Yep.
Caleb has had at least a noticeable enough year for the Bears that he was the highest vote getter by fans. And you said number 2 for Byron Murphy. I want to make sure I just said top 2 because I knew he was 1 or 2. He was actually number 1. So give him credit as the number 1 vote getter at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So also in the NFC that we're in the top 10 in fan voting. Were Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff. Interestingly, Sam, not in the top 10 in fan voting, so it was players and coaches voting that got in Darnold.
That is interesting because we just watched Jared Goff crap the bed just last night, right?
Oh, my gosh. The entire Lions squad, but mostly Jared Goff against that Vikings defense that I knew that we struggled against too. And, oh, my gosh. They just a slight detour from that.
Oh, please. Go ahead.
The fact that the Vikings won that game with 3 net passing yards from Max Brosmer.
Which is the most Brosmer stat. Do you think Brosmer is going to take over the Peterman spot in QBs?
Oh, gosh. He deserves to take it over, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
although Peterman was drafted so high, like he kind of earned it through draft status, where Brosmer, like that's not, he should have no Peterman.
I think Peterman was a late pick, right?
I thought Peterman was 3rd or 4th. I thought, didn't Gruden take him like too early? Did he go to the Raiders?
No,
I thought Nate Peterman was drafted way too early.
Okay, he was drafted. Okay, I thought it was the Bills. It is the Bills, and but I thought it was like a 6th or 7th. It's a 5th round. Yeah.
So, and Brosmer wasn't drafted, I don't think.
No, he's undrafted.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe, but still, Peterman drafted too early in the 5th round.
Yeah. So Brosmer take it, but you're talking about the Vikings defense giving the Lions the kind of fits that they were able to win with 3 yards out of Brosmer. It just Goff melting down and the whole offense melting down. I mean, it was wild.
Yeah. And so I don't think that we've seen a meltdown quite like that, even in the Rams game with the 4 turnovers from Darnold. That
it was in that realm. It was in that realm. And they weren't able to overcome it, but they were closer than the Lions were.
That's true.
Against a worse team. But yeah, you kind of mentioned the quarterbacks, right? You're talking about Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has had a bad year. And
Jordan Love has been streaky.
And injured.
Yeah.
He's been out a couple times now. So when I first hear Sam Darnold Pro Bowler, I'm like, he hasn't been bad by any stretch of imagination. He's been better than average, but like, is he one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFC? And like, that's initially what I think, right? Just boom, spot. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. But then as you go and start going through the candidates, yeah, he kind of is. And the players and coaches obviously felt that way, as you pointed out with the voting.
In terms of how they've performed this season, I would say Stafford and Dak would probably be the 2.
Yeah, Dak's doing it in losing town, though.
He is doing it in losing town, but he's also, and he has the supporting cast of having CD and Pickens, but he's been getting them the football.
Okay, serious question. Just for the year. Like, land of no consequences, all that stuff, right?
Ooh.
For the rest of this year, would you, if you could call up and just call Jerry and trade Darnold for Dak, would you do that right now?
I don't think I would, just because it, one, I don't want to throw off the team chemistry.
Land of no consequences.
Okay. I don't have any confidence in Dak for the postseason. It's similar confidence for postseason for both.
It really is. It really is. And I like Dak Prescott better as a quarterback than I do Sam Darnold at this point in life. Right? But if I'm going to switch him out for the rest of the year, I don't know that I do it, because I think that the unknown of Sam, even if it falls into the more unlikely he gets it done than likely to this point, I would still take that over Dak in seeing him fail year after year after year with good teams at times and all of that. So I probably wouldn't do it either, which is crazy to me because I do think Dak Prescott is a better overall quarterback than Sam Darnold right now to this point in their careers.
I could see that. Yeah. Hey, if Dak had won a playoff game, it would be a no-brainer.
He's won one, hasn't he?
Has he won one?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head.
You might be right. He may have won one, but
yeah, I think he's won one. But again, you've gone through the Dak Prescott experience in the playoffs, and maybe it's just that Dallas Green Bay game from the other year that makes me personally have pause.
Yeah, was that a second round game? Is that why you're thinking that? He's won two.
He has 2 wins and 5 losses.
Okay, it's those 5 losses that stand out way more than those 2 wins.
Yeah, look, this is according to AI, so whatever you think about
this is something that AI should be able to get correct, though.
It says that some earlier reports mentioned 2 and 4 before a 24 wild card loss. Okay, so yeah, they've got him 2 and 5.
Okay. Well, if our AI is wrong, you can call us out. But
okay, so one would be a win in 19. No wonder we can't remember this one. This one was over the Seahawks.
Oh, that was that game.
That was
the
that game
where we freaking decided to not
only
pass,
run
like, at all.
Yeah, only run. That was that game for like no reason. And then they beat the Bucks in 23.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Awesome. So
that's hilarious.
Well, you may have just tipped it in favor of Dak for me, but it's not a deep playoff type run either of those years, and I don't know. At least there's some success, I guess.
Well, okay, on the bottom end of things, I think Sam could have at least that kind of record in the playoffs over the majority of his career going forward. At least that. And that's not good.
He's going to be 3-0 this year, so there's that.
And I think that there's a higher ceiling there in the playoffs than
he
Dak.
might eclipse Dak in just one season.
Or I don't know that there's not a higher ceiling for Sam is probably the better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah. All right. Well, there may be a higher ceiling for this show with our executive producers because we're getting up close to where I felt that ceiling was. We've got executive producers DCH, Ryan Peterson, YouTube Live executive producer. We've got Brian Shaw. We've got JC Schilling in the 313th. And we've got Stephen Kirkpatrick. And Brian Shaw coming back in with a $112.12 donation via Zelle. So a big thanks to Brian.
Always and forever, Brian. Appreciate you a ton, and to all of the executive producers through what's been a really fun season, a season in which the show has grown, and that's been exciting. And to also see that we're close to a milestone here, Brandon, of 6,000 subs on the YouTubes. And as late starters on the YouTube, I'm pretty proud of that to this point. But it'd be awesome if you could help us get over the hump by the first of the year. That'd be amazing. Hit subscribe if you can. We appreciate that a ton. Share this with some other Seahawks loving friends, because obviously we have some executive producers that want to see that done. They want to see this show grow just like we do.
Yeah. And one more point on that 6,000 number for YouTube. Like, you guys have to realize, everybody listening, you should realize that, I get some big dad cred points for YouTube subscriber numbers. Like, my kids are still young enough to where that matters.
Oh,
and so if I get to 6K, Ollie, why don't you subscribe as well? We need all the help we can get.
Yeah. Big Ollie has 5 burner accounts and has subscribed already. So yes, buddy, I see you. Yeah. Go bother somebody else.
We've got Stephen Kirkpatrick in with a $38.37 score donation from this win over the Rams. A big thanks to Stephen.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that a ton. And look, dubs are better for our deal when it comes to Steven and his pocketbook. So like it's worked out for us.
I just love seeing that score, especially when it's over the Rams. We've got Ricky Poo in at $36, joining at the annual level. So welcome to the flock to Ricky Poo.
Heck yeah, man. I love it.
And Jay in at $3 a month. Welcome to the flock to Jay.
Welcome, Jay, and welcome into the Discord. And man, Discord, that's just been where it's at all year. So much fun.
Been a lot of fun. Mohawk also into the Discord, also into the Facebook Ring of Honor at $12 a month. So welcome to the flock to Mohawk.
Heck yeah, man. I love it.
Robert,
I'm thinking of going Mohawk.
You should. It's time for a unique hairstyle for Adam. I think if we get to 6K, that's what you do.
That maybe, but the problem is this, Brandon. The problem is this: to have a Mohawk, you have to have more hair in the middle, and I'm getting closer to the Picard ring than I am like a Mohawk. So you got to
do it while you can.
last little bit. It'll be the last of the Mohawkins, kind of like Last of the Mohicans.
I get it. Yeah, that's a joke that young kids will not get.
Yeah, well, that's sad for them. That's a great movie.
Robert from San Diego coming in via @Hawkra on Venmo with a 1212 donation says, I have not worn my jersey all year. If I start wearing it, will it jinx us? Or, Adam, is this a Hawkra cleansing for our friend Robert?
No, that's interesting. So there's always the fear of the unknown when you're talking about Hawkra in the way that it interacts with the game. But I think if you look at it through the lens of I wasn't going to bust this out until it was time to really up the Hawkra another level as we head into the playoffs, which I think is where we're at here with Robert. I think this is going to be an overall Hawkra upgrade. I think you're good. Put it on. Wear it loud and proud.
Well, here's the thing. I asked Robert via email what jerseys he has, because I think this can play an important role into this whole equation.
Absolutely.
He says he's got a Cam blue one, which he wore every game for the Super Bowl years. Lockett blue, Lynch Wolf gray, or 2010 number 12 blue.
Okay. Well, I would say in order of Hawkra, I think the blue Cam is number one because Bam Bam Cam.
Obviously.
It's hard to argue. And he wore it during the Super Bowl season.
Yeah.
I think the Lynch gray is number two.
I agree.
And then Lockett, and then the 12. And, as much as I think the 12s are an integral part of what we do, and you saw it against the Rams on Thursday night too. We affected the game. We helped our team, no doubt about it. Tyler Lockett is a borderline Ring of Honor guy who helped our team more than the 12s during his time here, I would say. So
the reason why I would flip those last two is because Tyler Lockett currently on the Raiders. And so I would avoid that one until he's fully retired or back on the Seahawks.
I refuse to recognize that he is on the Raiders.
And Robert also said his next jersey is going to be an Imanwari jersey, maybe the rivalry jersey.
Okay. I get it. Look, I'm not a fan of the rivalry jersey for the most part. Didn't hate it. It was kind of in the meh range for me going into the Rams game. Love it now. Absolutely love it. Love the helmet. Love everything about it. All the memories. So if you want to go Imanwari rivalry jersey, I get it because E-Man's a great choice.
Yeah, and I love that we both determined Cam, obviously the highest Hawkra jersey.
Yes.
And then going Imanwari. I like that. I like the lines we're drawing there.
Absolutely. And it's not just because we, this week, talked to Earl Thomas, his running mate, and are just boosting the play up here. That's how I really feel about Cam.
JC Schilling is in at $313.
Wow, buddy.
313th unit comes in. And he says, overdue executive producer dues. I first want to apologize for the incredible amount of work that you and Clinton and Adam are doing to carve out some time and get my dues and emails sent with a little more punctuality. But, he said, I should find a way to carve out some time to get my dues and emails sent in with more punctuality. But it's been the holidays and I've been caught up with work and family. But enough of that. You know what they say about excuses around here. Do better.
True fact. JC, no apology ever necessary from you, buddy. You are a shining star among the group here. So we love the support, and thank you so much. That was unbelievably, incredibly generous, and or continues to be, I guess is the better way that I should put it, because it's not just a one-time thing from you, man, and we love you, and thank you.
Yeah, JC goes on to say, I was listening to the pod a few weeks back and realized I dropped off the EP list. It was the same game that JSN broke DK's single-season Seahawks receiving record with 1,313 yards. It seemed like a signal from the Hawkera itself reminding me to pay up.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Hey, man, the universe works in weird ways, no doubt about it, and that's a good heads up there.
I've been working on the Seahawkers podcast bingo card. So far, it's filled with mostly Adam sayings, which is, he says, what is a rock fight, by the way? Adam said that one time.
Oh, yeah, just an ugly game. In fact, this could be this Panthers game coming up. This is where the Panthers want to get you. They want to get you in a rock fight. So a dirty, nasty game where nobody has any real advantage in terms of like technology. Like nobody's got an AR hanging out in the back.
Think of a snowball fight except with rocks.
Right, where it's just rugged and bloody and just a little brutal rock fight.
Where did that come from? Is that something? I
That's
feel like
not
that's
a
a saying. I feel like that's a saying, but maybe not. Maybe it's not one that's well known to everybody.
I didn't know that. I thought that was one that was pretty well known, because that feels like it's something I've heard a lot around the sports talk world.
Yeah. All right. And so JC's holding out for a few more Brandon and Clintonisms before
Let's go.
He produces the final version of the bingo card. Great work and amazing win on Thursday. The kids got to stay up past their bedtimes, and we were celebrating like it was the Super Bowl. Happy holidays, you guys, from JC.
I love it. Yeah, again, just thank you tons, bud. I'm trying to think of some. If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly would be
That's
one
that Clinton uses a lot.
One for Clinton.
Winning's better than losing, obviously.
That's for you. Yep. Mm-hmm. Then we'd have to kind of go from there. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe some of the little flockers have
a lot
some
that I really throw out there, I guess.
No, I guess there'd have to be like a square of like playing it right down the middle. Like maybe it's the middle square is like the Brandon square, right?
Yeah, taking both sides of an issue.
Absolutely, and then claiming one when it all comes out that way. I love that. That's honestly, that's one of the things that you do that I respect the most and drives me the most crazy, because you get away with it.
That's why people like me so much.
Exactly. You don't take any heat in the comments ever because of that game plan, and it works out for you, and nobody calls you out after the fact. And so, just tip of the hat, like, well played.
Hey,
well played.
Made it this far. It still works for me. I'm going to keep just piping those drives straight down the middle.
Absolutely. Fairways and greens, baby.
Also, welcome to the flock to Donovan, who came in as a new YouTube member. So, welcome to the flock.
Oh, heck yeah, man. That's pretty sweet. So, yeah, you could do the membership on YouTube as well, and that's always appreciated.
So, big thanks to everybody who came into the flock this week at getintheflock.com. What do you say we welcome in our Pick'em League overlord, Evie? Dear underlings, you vanquished the Rams, and I finished school until January. A cause for double celebration. Although, with mock exams, when I go back, it's not much of a break. You vanquished the Rams despite one of you, Cal Martin, picking the Rams. Brandon, do not change his picks. He deserves to wallow in the world of being a non-Seahawks picking buffoon. This week's winner was Hobo Shack fan. Adam, is that your pet name for Brittany?
Might as well be. Yeah.
With 15 correct picks, all on their own, 5 people got 14 correct. One of them was Dad. He was much happier this week. He was just angry at the Lions and Jaguars. He still can't pick which way the Jaguars go, which is also funny. Those 14 correct picks have moved him back up into the top 5, though. Tied for third with Hockadoodle-Doo, the DCH, and the Tram Rammers. I think that's the first appearance in the top 5 for Hockadoodle-Doo.
That feels right to me, yeah.
They all have 164 correct picks, 3 picks ahead of them. In second is Love Is All We Need on 167. And in first with 168 is Obu's Daddy. It's really close and all very exciting as the end of the season approaches in the Pick'em League and in the real league. Dad has banned Super Bowl talk in the house as he doesn't want to jinx it, although he has talked of taking AA days, paid time off on the day after, so he can stay up and be in the decent state of human the following day. Have an amazing Christmas if you are celebrating. To all my underlings, and especially you, Brandon and Adam. Lots of love from Evie. Go Hawks.
Hey, Evie, appreciate it as always, and congratulations to you being done with another semester until the new year. That's got to feel great. And look, Evie's kept everybody in line. We only had one person get out of line, and my guess is that was an accident. Like that feels like it's in the statistically relevant category in terms of accidents. That's where I'm putting that.
Well, you're on Evie's radar now. If you make an accident like that, you only make that mistake once.
Absolutely.
Because then you know Evie has a punishment like locked and loaded for you.
Although, who was it again that picked the Rams? Do you have the name close by? And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah,
but
it was Cal.
Okay.
Where did it go?
Cal.
I just remember saying Cal. Cal Martin.
All right, Cal Martin. So here's the thing. The next time we play the Rams, you have to pick the Rams again and get punished by Evie.
There you go.
You know? Because you picked the Rams and the right thing happened. So you can't screw this up now.
That should be your penalty, Cal. I will consult with Evie to make sure but go ahead and just pencil it in for when we play the Rams in the playoffs, because that's probably when it's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick the Rams now.
Exactly. You know, one thing we didn't mention about this Panthers team, Brandon, there's a chance that we see them again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, say you get the number 1 seed, and they're going to be the lowest division winner seed, right?
They'll be that number 4 seed. They could end up taking on the Rams, and then they beat the Rams a second time, and then we have them round 1.
And then they come to Seattle. Oh, that would be glorious.
If they could take out the Rams and then come back to Seattle, then to lose, we would have. I think I'd be a Panthers fan. Like, they would be my number 2 team, like a distant number 2. But I'd just start rooting for them in the NFC somehow.
I think I'd send them a gift, like a thank you. You bet.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And I know a lot of people are like, wait, look, I don't want that. I want to beat the best to be the best and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, me too, if that's what you end up having to do. But if you don't have to do that, why make it harder on yourself? So, I'm good either way.
Hey, if we had to beat them once just to get into this position to where we could be the number 1 seed, we're also going to have to beat the Niners here in a couple weeks. And they feel like a who team, but they are in position, and that was the most annoying thing watching that Monday Night Football game. Was watching.
Oh, shut up, Al. Yeah, that got me mad too.
Just destroy that Indianapolis Colts defense that had been so hyped up coming to Seattle, but then just got rolled.
Yeah, it did. And look, you can't capture that Phillip Rivers is back in the league energy every week as they go forward. And that's a part of it there. The other part of it too is how many, I know Turdy had at least one Turdy.
Mm-hmm.
He could have had 3.
Yeah.
Did he end up with 2?
Oh, no, but one that should have been picked.
I'd say 2 more that should have been picked. So, he should have ended up with 3 Turdies. But good for the Niners. Congratulations to you guys down there in the Bay Area. It's cute. It's a cute story. You guys are cute.
I forgot how he defined turdies. I thought they were just, pickable passes and not actually picked passes.
Yes. Because if it's a pickable pass, sometimes they get picked. So either way, it's a turdy.
Yeah. All right. We got one more email here from the Bard. Says, hi, fellas. Well, that was a great weekend. Isn't it great to have won on a Thursday night and then just sit on a Sunday and watch it unfold knowing you have won? I loved it. Then the Rams started to whinge. Rules. Is this whine or what? What is whinge? WHINGE.
Whinge.
Is this a British term that I am
not? No, I've heard it before. It's kind of like.
Is it pronounced whinge?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the right definition for it, but it's a little bit of like crybaby shit ass compared with like just I don't know. It's a bit of whining, like,
Okay.
and yeah.
I thought maybe it was an alternate spelling for whining. So, okay, glad that we cleared that up. Then the Rams started to whinge. Rules whinge. Coach whinge. Quarterback whinge. I loved it even more. Then the results unfolded. Number 1 seed in the NFC/NFL. Does it get any better? Well, yes. I was considering cashing my 8-1 bet for the Hawks to win the division, but I'm letting it roll. One thing stood out to me on that game. It was very hard watch at times, but I guess you'll cover that. No, what struck me was the first quarter. We were driving and running the ball well. I saw 2 plays that totally made me gasp. It wasn't the running from Charbonnet or Walker, but the fantastic blocking from Gray Zabel. We have an O-line, people. This was definitely a squeaky bum game, but let me explain. This was a term coined by Sir Alex Ferguson, the manager of Manchester United, so I can't lay any claim to it, and used to describe a very close game. Indeed, I watched this with my fingers over my eyes. But hey, we won. And now on to Carolina, and a very Merry Xmas to all Hawks fans everywhere. The Happy Bard.
Hey, thank you, John, and appreciate the Bard coming in here, because anytime that you finish a game and Ram fan is going to be whinging about squeaky bum games, I love it. I love it. And it was awesome. I think we all kind of watched it with our eyes half open, fingers over our face. It's like, oh my gosh, it was high drama. It's as good as the NFL gets. And it was awesome. And then the result went our way on top of all of it. And hooray.
And I would also say to J.C. Schilling, who's putting together the Seahawks bingo card, squeaky bum game has to go on there. Like, even though it's not one of us as a host, like, John's been with the show for such a long time. Like, he gets a square for the squeaky bum game. Yeah,
and I know he tried to give the credit to somebody else, but that's a Bardism right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, don't be a bear, be a grizzly is a movie quote that Clinton has just adopted anyway, so.
Oh, yeah, and the 3/4 of half the ones that people look at that I say, they're either from my grandpa or other places, or the bottom of beer caps or whatever, man. Like, They're not all me.
On to do better and better at life. I'm going to kick things off with do better this week because, as we have talked about poverty franchises in the NFL, we've put the Cardinals squarely in that position. We've put the Panthers in that with their ownership, although Dave Canales somehow overcoming bad ownership. He should get a lot of credit this year for that. But one team that has not been able to just get out of its own way has been the New York Jets, Adam. And they are struggling this week again, as they had lined up Ashley Castaño Gervasi to line up at halftime and try and attempt a 20-yard field goal to win.
That's 100... really the Jet kicker?
No. This is a female fan who is a Jets fan who at halftime, you know how they have those games where they bring people out?
Yeah, I got you now.
They have fans throw a football through a tire, or in this case, it's having a fan kick a 20-yard field goal. And, NFLers make this look super easy. Kicking a 20-yard field goal is not easy. And it turns out they had some rule stipulations as to what you could and couldn't be to actually to participate in this. The thing is, with Ashley, she qualified while she was attending a Jets game and kicked the field goal. All they asked her was if she had actually played soccer in the last 4 years. It turned out, no, she had played soccer, but she's 33. It had been more than 4 years since she'd played competitive soccer. But she is the coach. She's a math teacher and coach of her high school team. And apparently within these rules is also that she couldn't have played or coached. And so because she coaches high school soccer, the Jets called her up this week after more than 100 of her family members had bought tickets to go see her at halftime to try and attempt this $100,000 field goal kick at halftime. all these people had bought tickets, and they told her that because she currently coaches within the rules of whatever insurance company would be the one who pays out on this, that now she was in fact ineligible, and she was disinvited from being the halftime contestant at this game. So now all of her family, they're not going. I guess one small silver lining is that the Jets did refund all of her family tickets, and I guess they're going to make a donation. But you know what? If you're the freaking Jets ownership, you pony up the $100,000 if she happens to make the kick. Instead, now you're dealing with all these negative press articles about how you are a poverty franchise by disinviting a fan who, again, coaching soccer should not make a person ineligible from being able to do something that was still very difficult, kicking a 20-yard field goal. It's not an easy thing to do. There's still no guarantee that she makes it. And you could have avoided all of this negative press by just doing the right thing, New York Jets. Do better.
Oh my gosh, do better. Woody Johnson, you cheap man. Like, how ridiculous. They lost an entire family of Jets fans, which I'm sure they do about every quarter. That they go out and pretend to play football because they are a poverty franchise. But look, I understand as a human that, like, we need rules, right? We can't just live in complete anarchy. But you know, Brandon, like, when you ride with me, like, driving, like, maybe we'll be somewhere and it'll say no left-hand turn. And you're like, yes, I understand that, because 99% of the time, if you were to sit here and try to turn left, you're going to block up all the traffic, and there's going to be too much traffic coming the other way. You're never going to make it, and it screws up the whole thing. But maybe you pull up to that spot and you need to turn left, and at the end of the day, there's nobody coming, you're not holding anybody up, and it all makes sense. Then turn left, because we all understand the spirit of the rule, right? Okay? Sometimes you got to look at the rule and be like, does it make sense here? And at the end of the day, like, you're taking somebody who's a soccer coach and saying, no, can't have it. What, because she knows the mechanics of swinging your leg too well? Like, get the fuck out of here. This is the dumbest thing in the world. This is one of those places that you should be able to look at the rules and understand that the rule right here is kind of stupid and maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's going to only bring you pain and misery as a poverty franchise going forward. But Jets can't pull their head out of their butts yet again and do something like this and prove that they really are one of the bottom dwellers and forever will be a bottom dweller in this National Football League. So yeah, do better. Just stupid.
Think about this from a PR perspective, Jets. If you were to ignore the rule, and if you were to say, oh, I don't know, say she ends up making the kick, then you can turn this into a great news story yourself and saying, hey, our insurance decided not to pay out because it was also not only a player but a coach. We thought it was a stupid rule, but because it is a stupid rule, we are covering this. Not only are we going to give her the $100,000, shoot, we're going to give her season tickets. We're paying for her season tickets next year too, because we're that type of organization that cherishes its fans rather than turns them away. And you can actually, because you paid out when the insurance company didn't, you could have made yourselves look like the hero instead.
100%. And at the end of the day, like, I've watched the New York Jets blow a shit ton of money on coaches over the years. You couldn't pay the soccer coach $100,000 if she makes it? Get out of here. Come on.
One of the worst things ever.
One of the worst things ever. Here's another thing that's one of the worst things ever, Brandon. And this is my do better for this week. And the headline of this article is really just disturbing. A woman thought a leaf had wrapped around her leg during a hike. It turned out to be a deadly snake latched onto her sneaker. So this do better is for all of you plotting evil snakes down in Australia, because this is where this happened. This woman was down in South Wales, and they were out doing geocaching. I don't, if you haven't heard of that, basically it's like a kind of a game, hide and stuff. Yeah. And so she was out geocaching, and at some point, like, kind of felt like a rustling, like, on the back of her leg, and she couldn't figure it out. This evil-ass snake had wiggled its way into the loop on the back of her sneaker, right? Like the one that you use to pull the heel up over your heel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this bastard had, like, gotten his way into there, and it was a super deadly snake on top of that. And so they had to call like a snake expert. They had to come out and like get rid of this thing. She had to go to the hospital because they thought maybe the thing had bitten her a couple times. And the thing snuck up on her, hitched a free ride, and then tried to kill her over all of it. Like, just, you can't trust him. You can't trust him, Brandon. So to all of those evil bastards down there, do better.
I think saying a super deadly snake in Australia is redundant. I think just every snake in Australia is deadly.
That's pretty good. I'm trying to look through the article here and see what type of snake it was again. I can't seem to find it right off the top here, but that, as you say, man, they're all terrifying down there.
Credit Eastern to brown everybody snake. Who lives Eastern in Australia, because there are so many things in Australia that can kill you.
Dude, Shane, Witherfork, all you guys down there, like I'm afraid for your daily safety. I really am.
I don't know how you guys do it. Like it just you got drop bears down there. Those are terrifying. You just
yeah. You know what? A snake has never been seen in the Gulch. Never. There's a reason I live here.
Well, another thing that you won't be seeing in the Gulch, unfortunately, is my better at life this week is an animal that I've just learned about. And it's not so much an animal, but a type of, well, okay. There's a category of elephant seal, Adam, called a super wiener.
Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be a super wiener swimming in the ocean? Yeah.
And what a super wiener as an elephant seal does is that once it attains the weaning age, the natural age of that it would stop taking milk from its mother or another female seal, what they do is they find another mom that they can latch onto. And what they do is they grow up to 600 pounds. And whereas a typical elephant seal of those same ages wears 250 pounds. So it grows to almost 2.5 times its normal size by giving up on one mom. Normally the moms, they'll bite at them and be like, hey, you're done now. And what these super wieners do is they say they don't take no for an answer. They go find another mom who was like, oh, okay, fine. You can hang out with me a little bit. They grow to be 600 pounds. And for doing that, being a super wiener, they're better at life than Skip Bayless.
That is a interesting strategy for survival. Like, instead of MILFs, they're like MILMs, like moms I'd like to nurse, I guess. Like, yeah, that's interesting. And look, man, they just hop from mom to mom. That I find that to be like kind of fascinating.
I was
good for them, man.
Which is why I had to bring it to the show, and not just because I wanted to say super wiener multiple times.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Don't lie. Come on, we all wanted to say super wiener today. Say it in your car right now if you're driving. Just say super wiener out loud. You're gonna giggle.
You'll feel way better about your day.
Absolutely. All right, bud. My better at life than Skip Bayless this week is for an actual Seattle Seahawk. He is not a super wiener. He is just a super backup, and that is Josh Jones, man. Look, I don't think it's been talked about enough, and I tried to bring it up post game. I've tried to bring it up on some of our other shows, as you guys have as well, and talk more about Josh Jones, because what he did in that football game is absolutely amazing. Comes in, replaces a top half of the league left tackle, and you didn't have to mention his name against a pass rush that is universally thought of as a pretty darn good one. And guys like Jared Verse being somebody that strikes fear in the heart of a lot of other left tackles in this league. The hardest position, arguably, on the offensive line. I would almost say center is maybe that, but the pay doesn't reflect that, obviously. But left tackle, man, tough job, tough opponent, huge moment. Got to have it for the team. Coming in on a small deal, a 1-year deal, and balling the F out. Josh Jones, I'm eternally impressed. That was an amazing effort for that and helping us bring a victory against the dirty, stupid, ugly Rams. You are better at life than Skip Bayless.
That final play does not happen without Josh Jones balling out, because you don't get to your fourth read with Jared Verse coming off the blind side without Josh Jones putting in an incredible incredible effort on that play. And you could see it too. It frustrated Jared Verse. He threw his helmet down at the end of that play, knowing that he could have been the one to come from the backside there. And with all that time that Sam had to throw to thread it in there, just, skimming it past Gray Zabel's helmet. It's so incredible to watch the timing of that play and everything that needs to happen to get to that fourth read, and then just the pass threaded in there to get that game-winning 2-point conversion. Incredible play, and yes, you got the backup left tackle to thank for it.
Heck yeah, man. I was super impressed. Offensive linemen do not get the type of love that they really do earn each and every week. They should get almost every game, whether it's the defensive lineman or the offensive lineman, 80% of the blame or the credit should go there. It should. We have it so backwards, putting it on the quarterback when it really is those guys. And that's a big spot for Josh Jones, and he earned himself some cheddar this offseason, and I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, the thing that sucks is that we aren't going to be able to keep him now.
No, unless they decide like they're going to move on from Cross and like trade him and then pay Jones maybe less than what you'd have to pay Cross. Maybe that's what you do. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that.
We'll see what happens over the next few games for me to be a little more comfortable with that. But that could be something on the radar for sure.
Yeah, but just awesome, man. I love success stories like that, and especially when it brings me all the joy of this Christmas week. Generally, I can't stand this week. This week has been amazing because every day that I wake up, we're in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed. We beat the stupid fucking Rams, and they just get to sit and cry all week. It's amazing. It's the best gift I could have ever received.
It's been the greatest, and the thing that could help kick off this great new year would be closing this year with a win over the Panthers, and then starting 2026 with a win over the stupid Niners.
Oh my gosh. Yes, make it so.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.